Is Jack Abraham the presumptive Missouri starting quarterback? This, plus more on football, and Jason Jordan from Sports Illustrated joins me to talk all things Missouri basketball recruiting, coming up right now on Locked On Mizzou.
You are Locked On Mizzou, your daily podcast on the Missouri Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, all you true sons and daughters, I'm John Miller, your Mizzou mafioso and the central scrutinizer of Missouri Tigers football and basketball 5 days a week. And of course, if we're going to talk football in 2022, what better position to lead off with than the always controversial quarterback position? And Benjamin Hockman, I don't know him that well. I shouldn't call him Ben, right? Well, Mr. Hockman from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch teased his column today with the sentence, "It's going to be Jack Abraham, right?" Thoughts on Mizzou's arm race? Well, my thoughts on Mizzou's arms race are pretty simple. I think it could be Jack Abraham, absolutely. I just don't get the assumption that a lot of people are making that it's going to be Jack Abraham, because I think there's a little bit of false math being done here. Because quite honestly, if Jaden Daniels, who transferred from Arizona State, flirted with Missouri, ultimately ended up at LSU, well, if he had come to Missouri, or if JT Daniels, no relation, by the way, if JT Daniels, the former USC and Georgia product, if he had transferred to Missouri instead of West Virginia, well, yeah, I would absolutely assume that he would be the starter in a month. But Jack Abraham, to me, just not the same level of recruit. And by the way, I got to think, if you just want to look at the tea leaves a little bit, Jaden Daniels is in a quarterback competition down at LSU. Now, maybe he just wanted to go to LSU for whatever reason, but you would think if Missouri had indicated to him that he was the likely starter, I would say he would end up here. It seemed like maybe it wasn't an absolute certainty anyway. Let's put it that way. At least if I were Jaden Daniels, why would I leave for Arizona State unless I thought there was a pretty darn good chance I was actually going to play at my next spot? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. So I think the assumption that Missouri was definitely looking for an absolute starter, I think, is a bit misguided. I think they were looking for more depth in the room for sure, especially when Sam Horn, it was thought that, hey, maybe this kid will get drafted relatively high in the MLB draft and get an offer that he can't turn down. Well, I think it's pretty apparent that that was a possibility. Eli Drinkwitz acknowledged it at a certain point, especially in the last month or so. He's absolutely acknowledged that possibility, but it seems pretty apparent that Sam and his family were waiting for an offer that, again, just would blow their socks off and they just couldn't turn down. And when that offer didn't come, well, Sam is here. And frankly, when it comes to quarterbacks starting and assuming things, well, I'm much more safe in assuming that Sam Horn will start the 2023 season than I am who is going to start in 2022. As of today, I still am leaning towards Brady Cook because I've seen enough out of the young man that I at least have some confidence that he can be the quarterback moving forward. Is Abraham better than Brady Cook? I don't know. I haven't seen Abraham enough. We'll have to see him and see him in this offense with this set of teammates too. But it's my strong suspicion that Brady Cook's going to put up a lot better fight than some people, at least in the media, seem to be assuming. They seem to be assuming that Eli Drinkwitz went out and got Jack Abraham to be his starter, and I'm just not personally there yet. Maybe they'll end up being right. I'm just not seeing as strong of indications as they are. Now, looking at another very important position on the football field, well, there's some big news there. I think it was, first of all, actually was safe to assume that Missouri brought in Buffalo center Bence Polgar to be the starting center on this football team. in 2022. I think that is a safe assumption. But now he's been ruled ineligible by the NCAA. Mizzou had appealed the decision, but was denied. So it relates to his time at Buffalo. I have no idea the specifics of this. Somebody can maybe tweet me, help me out here, and give me some details, but I haven't heard anything emerge here yet as to an explanation. But the bottom line is Bence Polgar, a guy I think Missouri handpicked to come in and start at center this year, is not going to play this year. That's potentially a really big blow. Center is a very, very important spot on the football team. Though I will say it's better to know now than, say, right before game week or something like that. At least if you have a month to actually get comfortable with that center and with his first-string teammates, that's a good thing. It seems like now the competitors for that job are going to be Connor Tollison, Drake Heismeyer, and Richard Taylor. To be brutally honest with you, if it's not Connor Tollison, if he doesn't win that job, I'm just going to be nervous. Tollison is a guy who is a relatively high prospect. I can remember that coming out of high school, a guy we hoped that we were very excited when he committed, no doubt about that. Seems about now is the time where you'd be hoping he would come on and play, make an impact at one of the offensive line positions. So, hey, hopefully he's got the ability at center. Hopefully he's a good snapper, because one of these guys is going to be thrown into the fire sooner rather than later. Again, Bence Polgar, a guy Eli Drinkwitz handpicked to start at center. I would assume anyway. Again, we don't want to assume too much, but I think this one's a little safer than quarterback. Well, ineligible for this season. And coming up, I talk basketball, specifically recruiting with Sports Illustrated's Jason Jordan. We talk Trent Pierce, Anthony Robinson, and Dennis Gates, recruiting strategy, and more. But first, I want to tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to make your small business fire on all cylinders. Well, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier for you to find the right people you want to talk to faster and for free with their network of over 810 million people. Add your job with the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to let everybody know that you're in business to hire people for your business. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Once again, LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege, to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. For those of you watching on YouTube, I apologize. I messed up the video on this, but at least I captured the audio. So you know what? I will promise you I will get my technical snafus in order. Won't have this problem next time. But here he is, me with Sports Illustrated's Jason Jordan. So first of all, Jason, thanks for joining me. Just wanted to ask you, first of all, about Missouri's latest recruit, Trent Pierce, 6'8", 185 from Tulsa. Seems like a fluid athlete, good jump shooter. What are your thoughts on the young man, if you have any?
Well, he thrives in like a face-up game. When he's in the face-up, you're at his mercy on the offensive end. He really did very well in the EYBL and in Peach Jam. So I was very impressed with him watching him down there. But I definitely a guy who's gonna be a fan favorite down there. He definitely has a lot of upside because he's scoring in a variety of different ways, and he's only getting better. Like, he's gotten better this summer. At each stop, he seemed to have gotten better, and the finale at Peach Jam was where he played the best to me. And playing alongside stars like Trey Johnson from the 2024 class, and like ball dominant guards, and he really thrived in that offense where the guards kind of run it, but he kind of picked his spots and got in where he fit in, so to speak. But when he got the ball and it was a face-up, I mean, he's just really, really agile with great footwork, great hands, and that tends to translate down there.
Well, that's good to hear. That's kind of what I saw in film too. Yeah, just a fluid guy, and I'm glad to hear he can face up. It sounds like he can get his own a little bit.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he can definitely go out there and get you a bucket. 100%.
Awesome. Well, Missouri certainly needs that, and who doesn't in basketball? Let's be real. But how about Anthony Robinson, 6'2" point guard from Tallahassee? According to his high school coach, Charlie Ward, who, if you're my age, you're very familiar with Charlie Ward, one of my young childhood heroes, frankly, but says he's got a 6'7" wingspan, along with a decent size at point guard. Have you heard anything about Anthony Robinson?
Well, yeah, he's a pit bull, man. I definitely could see that. I could see the 6'7" wing. He looks very long and wiry. Just a pit bull, plays with a lot of energy, and I love players that play with energy because a lot of these, especially these four and a lot of 5-star guys, sometimes they get too cool to score, and it's like, I'm gonna take this game off. I'm just so good, It's like,
right.
I don't know if you can you score, So that's always annoying when you come to watch him, right? But he's not like that. He's the 180 of that. So he's gonna go get it. He's a lockdown defender on the perimeter. Just really, really adept at getting his teammates the ball in positions where they're most effective, right? So he's a guy who's gonna have great pace. He's gonna control the tempo. You're not gonna speed him up unless he wants to speed up. So as a floor general, that's definitely something that you guys will, would love there. But I think the best part about him is that you can put him interchangeable at both guard spots because he's a great scorer on all three levels. But he's also, he thrives as a playmaker, so he can run either guard spot. And like you said, with his length, he's guarded multiple positions, probably 1 through 3, potentially 1 through 4 with that wingspan. So definitely an intriguing prospect now and even down the line.
Yeah, it sounds like he fits in quite well to what Dennis Gates and his top assistant, C.Y. Young, like to go for, which is kind of the Leonard Hamilton style down at Florida State. A lot of length on the perimeter, switchable defenders, that kind of thing. But it sounds like Robinson's got a good feel for the game, too. That's really encouraging.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, like I said, just can we get to Dennis Gates' just overall recruiting strategy a little bit? I was talking about, I mentioned we all know he likes length, but beyond that, sort of going beyond that a little bit, it's been interesting. Apparently, the Tigers have offered, this is a tweet I saw out recently, have offered 10 of the top 25 prospects according to 24/7. If you go even beyond that to the top 50, they've actually offered 17 of the top 50 guys. Now, that's really a stark contrast to how the previous coach, Conzo Martin, played things. You often wouldn't even know who that staff was offering. So I'm just curious your thoughts on the contrast there, and do you think Gates will be more effective?
So I'm of the mindset when you're a new coach, and I think they only have 3 back from last year, 6 transfers coming in this year. I like the wide net. Because, let's be honest, in the last month, it's yielded 2 commitments. So, and I'll tell you this is a strategy that some coaches use, obviously one that he's using with that wide net, and that is to be in the timelines in this space, right? Meaning, kids are always like, blessed to receive an offer from Missouri, and then they put the graph.
Right.
That's a marketing thing.
Absolutely.
They don't want these kids, but that is a marketing. I talked to a coach, I won't say who, but he was like, it was now you guys don't have this issue, but it's the concept is what I'm speaking of. He put out an offer to a kid that they're never going to get him. Just being all the way honest with you.
Right.
And he said the win is the kid tweeting blessed to receive an offer from us, right? And that's not your space because people want to come there, right? This guy was a mid-major coach, but he said you'd be surprised at the marketing that comes with being associated. The association of just the offer, right? So it's like in the mind, it's like a repetition thing. And we want to stay in the minds of elite recruits, right? Elite recruits are tweeting about us, whether they're coming, whether they're saying they're interested, whether they're saying we're in their top 3, top 5, they're considering us. They say they're blessed to receive an offer from us.
Sure.
it's a marketing thing. And, like I said, yielded 2 commitments in the last month. I like the wide net because it means you're not going to leave no bullets left in the gun. So I like that.
Yeah. I really like your marketing point too. And I think the football coach, Eli Drinkwitz, really subscribes to that too. Some people have been upset that he talks maybe a little bit too much for the amount of wins he has. But to me, I think that's the whole concept is he wants to have his name, sort of like LeBron James in the off season. He's always finding something to tweet about. And guess what? ESPN will carry whatever he says. So he keeps his name in the headlines. But you know what, Jason? Once again, thanks for coming, man. I just one quick question before I get out of here. It's a bigger question. I know that we just talked about how obviously it's a great thing if a mid-major gets a big-time prospect to just acknowledge them, to steal a phrase from Roman Reigns, essentially. But what about the other side of that? What about when coaches, frankly, if you're going to cast that wide of a net, well, sometimes you're going to have offers that are, at the moment at least, non-committable. In other words, yeah, we're giving you an offer, but hey, we're going to wait on these other guys first. So don't just run out to Twitter and say, hey, I'm going to Missouri, that kind of deal. What's your thought about that whole dynamic?
That's and that happens a lot. And the best thing I can say is it's a cold world. I've heard some crazy stories in that line, right? In that line, it's like, I've definitely heard, this isn't even that abnormal. Coaches being like, hey, hold on. Not yet,
Right.
Like, oh, no, we can't take your commitment right now. And that sounds bad on the outside, but in the world of this, it isn't that abnormal. I mean, that's unfortunate, especially if you're the kid and you're the family. And it's like, wait, what? Obviously that's going to rub you the wrong way.
Especially if it's your dream school or something like that. That's where I think you got to be really careful if you're a coach. Yeah.
It's all about relationships. You don't know who people are connected to. I've had this conversation with multiple coaches, and they're like, it's just like, we try and be very transparent. Like, we are offering you, but, we're looking at different people, and, you're on it. A lot of them keep it real. Like, I know Konzo used to, for sure. Like, I
was going to say, as long as they're upfront about it, I'm okay with it.
So as long as the coach is keeping it real,
right.
I'm mad at that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great answer, and hey, great segment. And Jason, sorry for getting a little late. I'll figure it out next time, I promise. I will see you soon, sir. And thanks to Jason Jordan once again for not only coming on the show, but being patient with my inability to figure out time zones. Yes, a bit of a timing snafu. 100% my fault. I'll just go ahead and pound the old chest on that one. But you know what? We got still more to talk about here on Locked On Mizzou, including a promising Mizzou wide receiver changing positions, moving to the other side of the ball. But you know what? At first, I want to tell you about Built Bar. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, well, you're depriving yourself, frankly, of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Are you ready for it? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. But you know what? Even though this is obviously a tasty treat, you know what? The best thing is these cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories with a whopping 15 grams of protein lodged inside of each and every bar. You're going to have to try this new cookie dough chunk puff out. I promise you're going to like it. Built is the perfect protein bar, and they taste better than a candy bar. Ditch the calories, fat, and sugar. Grab yourself a Built Bar. Once again, go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 at Built.com. There's already been a lot of talk in the offseason about how Missouri's wide receiver room has a tremendous amount of depth and talent right now, but I guess if there's one thing that would buoy that point, it could be that Jamarian Wayne, true freshman from Baldwin, Missouri, by way of Parkway West High School, well, he was actually rated as a 4-star receiver by 24/7 Sports, a 3-star guy by Rivals.com. Obviously, a guy Missouri was happy to have as a receiver, but you know what? In high school, there were others that thought maybe he was an athlete. So guess what's already happened? Jamarian Wayne has opened camp at the safety position on the other side of the football. So that's really interesting to me. Maybe he's just seeing a more likely path to the field that way, or who knows? That's really interesting. I'd love to hear more details about why he's changing sides of the football so early into his career. Perhaps Missouri just feels they have a need there. There could be a multitude of different reasons for that. Just thought that was an interesting note. And apparently, if Missouri really felt like they were hurting at receiver this season, I don't think they'd be making this move. So, hey, good luck to Jamarian Wayne, and of course, a good luck to your Missouri Tigers, or should I say our Missouri Tigers, if I may be so bold. Yes, I think I can say that. But with all of that being said, thanks for joining me as always. Thanks for making this show your first listen 5 days a week. And you know what? If you want more on the SEC, make Locked On SEC your second listen every day. Chris Gordy and your local Locked On experts take you across the Southeastern Conference in less than 30 minutes, 5 days a week. So once again, make Locked On SEC your second listen. So until next time, until tomorrow, I am John Miller, and this has been Locked on Mizzou.